Hi all, welcome back. We're going to talk about 8.2, finding volume and surface area of a cylinder. So when we're looking at a cylinder, we have the height, which is how tall the cylinder is, and we have the radius, which remember radius is the point from the center to the edge of the circle. Okay, and we can find the volume of a cylinder with the formula V, which is volume, is equal to pi r squared times h. Now pi, we're going to use 3.14, okay, every time. R stands for radius, and h stands for height. Okay, and that will be true in most of our formulas. And just as a reminder, the diameter is always twice as big as the radius. So if I'm given the diameter of a cylinder, in order to put that number in the formula, I need to divide it by 2. Okay, and we'll have some practice with that on some of our problems. So we want to find the volume of a cylinder with a diameter of 3 inches and a height of 5 inches. Now when I do this, I say, okay, I'm trying to find the volume. So V is my ultimate variable that I'm trying to find. They did tell me the diameter is 3 inches and the height was 5 inches. Okay. Now in my formula, V equals pi r squared times h. Okay. We are noticing we do not actually have a radius, so the radius is going to be 3 divided by 2, which would be 1.5. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know what V is, so we're going to keep calling that B. V. Pi becomes 3.14. Now I'm going to put this r in parentheses, okay, which is very, very important. So it's going to be 1.5 squared times h. Now I could put the h in parentheses too. It's not as important for the h. We really need the r in parentheses because it's being squared first, then multiplied by 3.14. We want to make sure we're following all those PEMDAS rules. Okay, so to start with, now technically if you have a scientific calculator, you can type this all in exactly how we see it and get an answer out. And that's fine with me, but I'm going to show you in case you don't have a scientific calculator that has parentheses and such. We are going to do 1.5 squared first, so we're going to do 1.5 times 1.5, which is 2.25. So we're going to have 3.14 times 2.25 times 5. Now remember, anytime we see something with parentheses right next to another number, all that means is multiplication. Okay? So we can multiply all three of these numbers together, or we could do 3.14 times 2.25, get an answer, and then multiply it by 5. Just for ease, we're going to type it all in the calculator. Okay? So we're going to get V is equal to 35.325. Now, my final answer, you should round all of these to the nearest hundredth. That's typical of volume and surface area. So we're going to change that to 35.33, because remember we look at the number behind the 2 and it's a 5, so it tells me to raise the 2 up by 1. So this is good practice for your rounding skills. We're also going to add a label. Now volume is a 3D measurement, okay? So it's going to be inches cubed. Remember in the formula sheet I told you that it'll say units cubed at the top with volume. That's to remind you it's always whatever that unit is cubed, because it's a 3D shape. We're multiplying 3 numbers together to get that answer. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video for a moment and try this next one without my help and see if you get the same answer as me when you come back. So we're trying to find the volume of a cylinder with a radius of 5. So the volume is what we're looking for. We know the radius is 5 centimeters and we know the height is 7 centimeters. And again, we're going to have this formula that we're going to plug and chug in. So we know that V equals pi r squared times h. Remember that formula is on your formula sheet. Okay, so V we don't know. We know pi is 3.14. R is 5 squared. Again, I put that 5 in parentheses times h. We are going to do the 5 squared first because PEMDAS tells me to take care of my exponents. So we're going to have 3.14 times 25. Times h, which we didn't fill in the last part, sorry about that. So h, instead of writing h, I should have written 7, and I could have put that 7 in parentheses. And we're going to write that 7 again down in this next step, in parentheses or not, it doesn't matter in that case. Now I'm just going to multiply all 3 numbers, so 3.14 times 25 times 7. I think I typed something wrong in my calculator. 3.14 times 25 times 7. Nope, I did it right. So volume equals 549.5. Now this is rounded to the nearest tenth, so we could tack a 0 on if we wanted to keep the hundredths place going. But then that's going to be centimeters cubed. Okay. Alright, let's look at the next one. So at a grocery store, a can of frosting is shaped like a cylinder. So hopefully you guys have seen those maybe in the grocery store. So the volume of the can is 36.9 cubic inches, or inches cubed. The radius of the can is 1.4 inches. What is the height of the can of frosting? Now this question's a little bit different. It's asking me to find the height this time. So h is what I do not know. I do know the volume is 36.9, and I know the radius is 1.4. Again, make sure if they give you the diameter that you're dividing that by 2 to get the radius. So I have my formula, V equals pi r squared times h. Now this time, I do in fact know what V is, so I'm going to plug that in. So we're going to have 36.9, equals 3.14, because we're going to change pi to a number, times r squared, which is 1.4 squared, times h. Now I'm not going to plug in h because I don't actually know what it is this time. Okay. Now in order to solve this, we want to get h by itself. So we need to take care of all of that. So the first thing we're going to do is square. So we're going to do 1.4 times 1.4. So that would be 36.9 is equal to 3.14 times 1.96 times h. Now we will actually multiply those numbers together. So 3.14 times 1.96. So we're going to have 36.9 is equal to 6.1544 times h. Now I didn't round that number because if I round in the middle of my problem, things tend to get a little messy at the end and you might get a slightly different answer than me. So we'll round at the very end. To get h by itself, we have 6.1544 times h. So we're going to divide by 6.1544 on both sides. Whoops, 6. So we're going to do 36.9 divided by 6.1544, which is going to give me 5.9957. And since I want to round that to the nearest hundredth, that's going to be 6.0 is my height. Now since height is a flat dimension, it's just inches. Okay, it's not going to be inches squared or inches cubed. Okay, so that's how we find the height of the can of frosting. It's 6 inches tall, which seems like a very tall can of frosting, but someone must be very hungry. So go ahead, this is a very similar problem, so go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own and see if you come up with the same answer as me while I go through it. Okay, so we know that the volume this time is 1,808.64 cubic meters. Okay, and the radius of the tank is 12, and we're trying to find the height of this tank. Okay, so again, the formula, which you might memorize by the time when this is done, pi r squared times h. We know the volume is 1808.64 equals 3.14, because that's pi, times r squared, which is 12 squared, times h. Now I'm going to square 12, because PEMDAS tells me to always take care of my exponents first, after parentheses, of course. So we have 3.14 times 144, because 12 times 12 is 144. So next we're going to do 3.14 times 3.14. So we're going to do 1808.64 equals 452.16. So we did 3.14 times 144. I feel like I said that wrong in the last statement there. Now we're going to divide both sides by 452.16 to get h by itself. So if we remember all those solving equation rules that we talked about in the beginning of the year. So if we do 1808.64 divided by 452.16, we're going to get 4, and this would be 4 meters. So the height of this tank of water would be 4 meters. Okay, I hope this helps, and